Bread Girl and Starlight bloom. Chapter 1 There are only broken walls and old cats at home. The heroine Lin Suyeo was born in a small street forgotten by time, with empty walls, leaky roofs, peeling walls, and always smelling of dirt. The classmates in the class who wore princess dresses and brought imported snacks would always snicker contemptuously when they saw her. She is called a mud doll and a wild child, like a kicked sparrow, only worthy of living in a dilapidated house, eating rotten food, not worthy of dreams and love. One day, my mother brought back half a bag of moldy bread from the vegetable market and said, "Suyao, our family will rely on these for a day." She lowered her head, a touch of sadness flashed in the corner of her eye, and secretly vowed, "One day, I will show everyone that the soil can also bloom." Chapter 2 Life programs come to the door, and laughter becomes the background. One day, an emerging life variety show Changing Circle Life came to her town. The program team hoped to find a little person who was fearless of life and dared to laugh and cry, so they finally found Lin Suyeo in a small house on the corner of the street. The producer said, "We want to try it and let you go on the show with a big star and record the story of your life from scratch for a week." When the children in the class learned about it, they laughed uncontrollably. "You dirty doll! Who wants to see you? If you go to the show, you will be a laughingstock at most." So the ridicule was higher and higher, and the entire campus was like an echo chamber of ridicule. Suyao did not refute, she just silently agreed to the program team, and an expectation that she had never had before sprouted in her heart. Chapter 3 Walking with the Starlight, leaving the earth but staying true to it. The show arranged for her to partner with the popular actor Ji Jinghee. Ji Jinghee, with a cold appearance and a quiet personality, has countless fans, but he doesn't know anything about the details of life. They were arranged to live in a dilapidated factory-converted cottage on the outskirts of the city, and challenged ordinary people to make handmade bread, vegetable garden planting, and campfire picnics at night. The camera follows them all the time. On the first night, Ji Jinghee was excited to think that he could bake bread with advanced equipment, but he spilled flour all over the floor. Suyao looked at him, bent down quietly, picked up the flour, taught him to knead the dough with his hands, and slowly the temperature was transmitted into the dough from his fingertips. "Have you ever thought that life is not a technology, but a feeling?" she said. Ji Jinghee was stunned, and a different light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 4 The program is broadcast, and the turning point happens instantly. After the show was broadcast, the internet went crazy. The audience was moved by the real interaction between the two, especially Suyao's fearless ridicule and sincere attitude towards life became a hot topic. "This is the taste of life. She lives the ordinary like a poem." And those classmates who once laughed at her, looking at Suyao, who was no longer afraid, were ashamed of themselves. Their laughter turned into their own tears. Chapter 5 The tortuous feelings, the run-in of Starlight and Soil. As the show progressed, there were subtle changes between Ji Jinghee and Suyao. He often accompanied her to clean up the remnants of wild vegetables at night and helped her hold the broom. She would make him the simplest but warmest bread. But the show wasn't always sunny. Once, the production team arranged for them to go on a city shopping challenge to expose Suyao to brand-name clothing and high-end restaurants. She looked at a loss in the face of luxurious clothes and a fashion editor who talked about it. Ji Jinghee gently held her hand and whispered, "You don't need to change, I like the way you are now." Suyao's eyes were moist, but she didn't speak. She knew that at that moment, she had truly found the meaning of being seen. Chapter 6 After becoming popular, the past and the present confront each other. At the end of the program, Suyao unexpectedly received a living fund and a job invitation, and a publishing house invited her to write a life note. However, her mother fell from the market and had physical problems. Suyao faced a choice: should she go to the big city to pursue her dreams, or stay in the town to take care of her mother? She stood in front of the camera at the end of the show and said to the audience, "I've never been a star, I'm just Suyao who loves life. I may pursue my dreams in the future, but the first thing I have to do is to visit my mother." These words made tens of millions of fans cry, and Ji Jinghee fell into an emotional struggle. He is willing to pick her up outside the capital, even if he is on stage. Is she willing to bear the weight of dirt and Starlight with him? Chapter 7 The most affectionate choices and public endings. In the end, Suyao chose to stay to help her mother recover, and began to open the Hope Bakery in the town, using program funds to teach children to make bread, plant flowers and write diaries, so that children can laugh with dignity. Ji Jinghee successively promoted her in the bakery and participated in township public welfare performances. He occasionally returned to town to help her take promotional photos, and the relationship between the two also heated up from a partner to a tacit understanding in the eyes of the audience, and finally made their relationship public. They hung a sign at the door of the small bakery in the town, "Starlight makes young house." Under the starry light, they smiled at each other. "I'm willing to prop up a table and make a dough with you, even if it's small, it's real." Chapter 8 Silent Memory, Silent Reunion. 2 years later, Lin Suyeo is no longer the girl looking for flour in the ruins. Her Starlight Maxiang house has opened 3 branches in the town, each of which is low-key and warm, and has become a place for children in the town to learn and heal. Ji Jinghee, on the other hand, is in full swing in the entertainment industry, with his works winning awards one after another and endorsing countless times. Although the details of their relationship have not been made public, in an interview he said softly, "Someone taught me that life is like kneading dough, it requires slow cooking and patience." The audience has already tacitly understood. That evening, Su Yao stood in the open space behind the old house, looking at the new oven built from recycled wood, and a man dressed in low-key clothes and a mask and hat walked slowly from the alley. "Is there still a shortage of manpower in this place?" He took off his hat, his eyes gentle and familiar. Su Yao was stunned for a while before she spoke, "Why are you back?" Ji Jinghee replied, "I need a little real pyrotechnics." Chapter 9 Cracks and Repairs Under Light and Shadow. The days seem to have returned to the period of changing circles. The two knead the dough together, decorate the windows, and teach the children to make cannolis. At night, sit on a bench and listen to the sound of insects and the wind. However, this time it was not purely sweet. With Ji Jinghee's return, the media began to chase and beat hard, and even photographed the children's faces and the location of the bakery. Su Yao angrily smashed a clay pot. "I can't let this become the background of your hype." Ji Jinghee said quietly, "I never used you as a background. This is my way home." Her heart fluttered slightly, but she couldn't completely erase the fear. The purity and tranquility she has finally created in the past 2 years can really withstand the brilliant and sharp gaze of the entertainment industry? Chapter 10 Starlight Press Conference and Maxiang Revolution. In order to protect the lives of the children in the bakery and Su Yao, Ji Jinghee decided to hold an official press conference. "She's not a public figure, she's just a person who lives in a corner you ignore, but works harder to live than any of you," he said in front of the camera. "I love her, but I don't spend love. I won't mention her name again in the future, unless she wants to walk into the Starlight." That night, Su Yao sat in front of the TV and cried in a mess. She thought of the children who insisted on learning to ferment on rainy days, and the way he held a half-cooked baguette and asked her if she could eat it. It's time to let the world know that roses can be grown in the soil. She stepped into the venue and stood beside him. "I am not the shadow behind him. I am the one who stands shoulder to shoulder with him and roasts out the stars and hope." The media flashed their lights like crazy, and this time, they stood side by side. Chapter 11 Gentle Revolution in Rose Bread. Starlight Maxiang House launched a public welfare project to promote the baking class to other poor towns. Su Yao designed a bread called Rose Clay, which has a mottled and simple appearance, but hides the aroma of pickled petal syrup inside, which has become a miracle bread that the show and the media are vying to report. Ji Jinghee also invested in the establishment of the Azai Foundation, which focuses on art and dietary therapy to help young people who have been neglected by society. They don't exaggerate love, but work together to change the fate of others. Chapter 12 Confession Before Dawn. In the early morning of early spring, Lin Suyeo stood alone in the store, looking at the bags of new flour. It was drizzling outside the window, and it was like those lonely nights in her childhood. Ji Jinghee quietly approached and draped a thick coat over her shoulders. "What are you thinking?" She slowly turned around. "I'm wondering, am I too lucky?" "You're not lucky, you're worthy of all this." He paused and took out a delicate but unpretentious silver ring from his pocket. "We have walked through poverty, through noise, and through too many roads. This time, can we walk towards each other?" There were no roses or fireworks that night, but the sound of rain was evidenced, and the fingertips of the two were tightly intertwined, as if fate was shaking hands again. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 13 Stardust Variety Show, Reboot. After changing circles unexpectedly became popular on the internet, the producer decided to start filming a new season, Stardust Variety Show, Reboot, with the theme of how are ordinary people who once participated in how they are doing now. The program team once again found Su Yao and Ji Jinghee. This time, she is no longer the taciturn bread girl in the show, but a life mentor who owns 5 bread classrooms and helps more than 200 disadvantaged children find their way in life. During the filming, some children took the initiative to say to the camera. The teacher said that bread should be kneaded longer, and the same goes for love. Jinghee's brother used to teach me how to take pictures, but now I prefer to take pictures of him smiling. The audience was in tears, and the whole network exceeded 100 million views and netizens called them the most real fireworks couple, with no traffic hype, but full of moving. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 14 Amy's Wheatfield. One day, Amy, an autistic girl from the United States, saw Su Yao's video and took the initiative to ask her mother to take her to China to learn how to make bread. Su Yao spent a month communicating with Amy word by word, and finally succeeded in teaching her to make a mini red bean bear bun, which became one of the international cases of the foundation. Before returning to China, Amy said the first full Chinese sentence to the camera, "Bread is the way I talk to people." Thank you, Teacher Linear. At that moment, Lin Suyao suddenly understood that her life was no longer to make up for the lack of the past, but to activate the switch for others to move forward. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 15: Bread Mountain and the Last Wish. Ji Jinghe's mother suffered from early Alzheimer's disease, and he took her to Suyao's small town and opened a memory coffee house for her next to the earliest bakery. Here the old people flipped through old photos, tasted snacks from their childhood, played puzzles, and listened to records. The memory slowly fades away in the fragrance of the face and the familiar melody, like a new page of life diary. One day, Su Yao proposed, "Let's use the open space on the other side of the mountain to plant wheat and grind our own flour." They polled the children, the elderly, and the residents of the town, and it took half a year to create the town's first bread mountain, and after harvesting wheat every year, the whole village shared the homemade bread festival. This mountain is no longer a barren place, but a place where hope sprouts. Underscore 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 un. Under the final chapter Fireworks, the moon is the proof. A few years later, Lin Suyao and Ji Jinghe held their second wedding on their small hill, this time, to celebrate with the world. There is no host, no media, just people sitting around a table, children and the elderly singing and dancing in the firelight, and the sky is full of stars. Su Yao smiled and said, "Do you remember the rotten wooden house we first met?" "I remember. You convinced me to stay with a piece of sugar." He held her hand. "You are not a part of my life, but the direction of my whole life." Fireworks bloomed, moonlight shone, and all those who participated in their stories were present. This is not a fairy tale, but someone is willing to walk into the mud step by step and plant starlight with you. Underscore 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 un. Postscript, for those who are in the mud. If you are standing in front of a dilapidated house right now, you don't know where the future is. If you feel that you are not worthy of wearing a princess dress, you are not worthy of the person who shines on stage. Please remember this name, Lin Suyao. She is not a rich girl, not a top student, or a protagonist who turns over overnight. She was just a girl who came out of the ruins holding half a bag of flour. She has been laughed at, looked down upon, and even thought about giving up. But she looked up again and again, kneaded the dough, planted wheat, hugged the children, and taught the elderly to smile. And you, too. The starlight is not in the sky, in every grain of flour, every drop of sweat, every moment you choose to live in your hands.